I love miniatures and models. I love collecting them, building them, painting them, converting them, and over the time I have assembled quite a collection of miniatures. But when it came to creating my own miniatures, I always hit a brick wall because back in the day the possibilities to do so were very limited. All that changed with the introduction of affordable, high-quality 3D printers and me getting somewhat good with 3D modeling software like Blender. Suddenly, only imagination was the limit. Now I could take all my favorite characters and just model and print them, or at least in theory. And what better place to start creating my own miniatures than with a unit from one of my favorite games of all times, Age of Empires 2. I started playing the game back in the day when it was still sold as a physical product. A physical disc in a physical cover with a physical manual. And yes, I did read the whole thing. Several times until it fell apart and I could remember all of the unit stats. So needless to say that I have very fond memories of this game, and hopefully some validity when it comes to making a judgment call on what the most iconic unit might be. It can be none other than the Paladin. I mean, just look at them. Aren't they beautiful in their heavy armor on their horses, with those flowy things on their helmets? But I am not just going to recreate the Paladin in 3D. Because when it comes to some of the units in Age of Empires 2, historical accuracy might have taken the back seat. Let me show you what I mean. If we take a look at this picture, this armor here doesn't really look medieval to me. It reminds me more of ancient Greek. So, if I want to create a unit that's somewhat based on historical accuracy, I might have to do my own thing. What I also don't recognize is this helmet. After some research, I decided to go with 15th century Italian armor for the base model. So let's start modeling. I will not comment on everything I do, but I might chime in here and there to give some additional context information. But for now, I leave you with the time lapse. So this is what I came up with for the armor. But as you can see, the model is still lacking the helmet. That's because up until this point I didn't really know what it should look like in detail. And it would be the helmet that makes the model recognizable. So I searched the internet until I found this piece on ArtStation. It's a great model of 15th century Milanese armor, link in the description. I thought that the helmet would look great on the Paladin, especially if you attach those flowy things to it, of which I still to this day don't know what they are supposed to be. And here we have reached the end of the time-lapse. Next step was to print, assemble and paint the model. I did plan to show some footage of that as well, but since I lack the expertise, I screwed up the recording. Shaky camera work and such. But I do have some pictures of the final product and I will offer some commentary along with it. And I have to say that I'm quite happy with the result. considering that this is the first miniature I have painted in years, I think it doesn't look too bad. And depending on how well this kind of content is received, I might do it more often in the future, and maybe along with it, my recording, editing, painting and whatever skills might improve, so I can offer some higher quality content in the future. The pose of the model is pretty standard, nothing too fancy. Mainly because in the end, my Blender file became so slow that animating the model got really frustrating. Also, a lot of details didn't come out the way I wanted, especially the chainmail. A big issue I faced as well was with exporting and repairing the model, which took a lot of effort. But overall, the model looks fine. It can be recognized as a paladin from Age of Empires 2, and that's most important. Will I do something like this again? Yes, but I would do a lot of things differently. I would put way more emphasis on conceptual work in the beginning, especially on how to divide the model, since I want to be able to assemble the model in different poses. And you can't just do that along the way, as I found out the hard way. This is something you need to put a lot of thought into. My biggest mistake with the Paladin was not doing that and just started modeling. I still managed to make it work, but the result could have been way easier to achieve and of much higher quality. But enough of me rambling about this. I do have a few ideas for miniatures I would like to do next, but if you have any suggestions, please feel free to let me know in the comments. And since I don't like to talk very much, I will just end the video here and hopefully be back in the future with more content.